Hello everyone, and thank you for coming back to yet another episode of The Gloving Paradigm. I am your host, Peter, aka LPD8 Dubuque, and first things first, I would like to apologize to all my listeners and any newcomers who are coming to this channel. Last week, unfortunately, after I had a job interview, I felt extremely ill and was bedridden, and it literally took my voice away, so I was not actually able to talk for a good long while, and unfortunately I had to postpone this episode to next week, so now we're at the current week. So once again, I just want to apologize. However, I do have some good news for everyone that I officially have now been hired by Goodwill Industries of Sacramento Valley in Northern Nevada, I think is what it's called. It's Goodwill, just Goodwill, you know. I'm actually very, very excited about this because I am a huge fan of Goodwill, as much as everybody probably doesn't know because I didn't really talk about it much in person on the episodes, but I absolutely love working for Goodwill. It was probably one few jobs I've done in my life that was just one of the things that was very fulfilling for me, regardless of the situation. So, yay me! I'm very excited to get back to working at Goodwill. So, if you guys want to congratulate me on that, that would be fantastic. I do highly appreciate all your guys' support, but I just wanted to kind of get some of that stuff out of the way so you guys know what's going on. One major thing I do want to let you guys know that I don't think with me accepting a job is that you're going to do any interference with me and my work on this podcast, because I'm only working 3 days a week and it's only on the weekends, so I have pretty much from Tuesday to Friday night to come up, write, and record and finalize an episode before the weekend. Main reason is because I do not want to get home late at night and have to either record or edit or finalize or any of that nonsense. So yeah, yay me. All right, let's get into this episode already, since I already got all the hoopla out of the way. So this week I just want to talk about a very interesting topic that I get a lot of newcomers asking me recently, and it's always these helpful tips that they always want, and the best way that I've actually been able to help them is actually compiling this list that just overall adds a level of just a basic structure for them to, not, you don't have to follow it word for word. What I am going to outline on this is very, very simple, and you can change it up to your own stylings. Another thing I also want to explain is that when I speak on this subject, I'm going to try to speak in terms of, let's just say you are a member of a team and your team's meeting up and are going to be doing, whatever the case may be. This is something I'm going to try to tailor as a way that teams can do it. Doesn't mean that you can't do it by yourself, but I just wanted to use the teams format to really just cover my bases on everything, if that makes sense to you guys. So but of course I still haven't said what the topic of this week is. Well, gloving calisthenics is going to be the topic of this week. Now, I know a lot of people are probably out there going, what the hell are you talking about with calisthenics? Calisthenics is a very simple structure of exercises designed to develop strength and flexibility. Now, if you were ever in track and field or any of the sports during high school, maybe you joined the military like I did, you done calisthenics. It's those stretchings and the jumping jacks and reaching down to touch your toes and butt kickers and high kneers, which I'm not going to get into what those are, but those normal PE exercises that they made you do every PE class, those are your calisthenics. It allows, it gives you stretching, you have warm-ups, you also have the cooldowns that are a part of this as well. Pretty much everything that you're going to know about calisthenics is pretty much going to be in this episode. So why is this important? It's extremely important to use, or really just utilize, calisthenics to your advantage, because as Walt Whitman once said, the hand is the most beautifully complex and powerful machine not invented by man. Now, what does he mean by that? Well, all the creations and all the inventions that mankind has made over the millennia of them being on this planet has all been devised by the one thing that we use the most, which is our hands. So that's one main reason. And if you think about it, what is the main thing we use in gloving is our hands. So it's not only to just improve on your performance, but it helps maintain the overall health and damage prevention and harm reduction on your joints and all your ligaments and all that stuff, all your tendons, things like that. This is why it's super, super, super important. And There's no real right or wrong way to do it. It's you like most people who exercise a lot, you find a workout regimen that works for you. So you want to try to tailor a workout regimen essentially to gloving. And that's what my goal is for here. Now, a couple of things I just want to let you guys know. There are 3 extremely important resources that you as a glover have at your disposal. First things first, you have the yougotmoves.com. This is a website that has been created and is run by well-known glovers. Most notable is Jess and Ice Cream Teddy, but they have a lot of different coaches on there. They have a lot of great resource tools for you to learn moves and concepts. You got everything from beginner to heavily advanced. You got everything, and it's specifically tailored to gloving. So that's pretty much your most important resource when it comes to a gloving regimen, in my opinion. And then you have your next one, which is a little bit more generic in terms of what just hand health and hand fitness all together, which if you guys don't know who this person is yet, you really need to find out who he is. Greg Irwin, which is spelled with an I, not an E, that has been pointed out to me on Reddit and other posts that I've made when I speak about Greg Irwin. I spelt it with an E. I do apologize. It's spelled with an I. Greg Irwin developed this over 30 years, just developed this wonderful palette of finger exercises and finger techniques that when he created this, it was for the mindset of helping musicians work with their hands more. Now, he will go on and tell you that people who are musician teachers have to learn a wide variety of different instruments, and not only that, they have to master them. So, you're using your hands so much to learn all these different instruments that you have to really, you have to have an exercise sort to keep your hands up to date. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to master all the instruments, and you're not really going to pass to become a musician professor. So what he did is he came up with a website called Handheld.com, which is your third and final resource on this list. On this website, you're going to find various resources, tools, tutorials, exercise equipment, everything I feel anyone who needs to work with their hands needs to go to. Okay, he has everything. You're basically putting in the same amount of investment into your glove lights as you would with pretty much all of his products that he has on his website. So if you're like me, who really likes to keep their hand health, I will highly advise you to invest. I have invested in a couple of tools from him myself. They are extremely helpful. I highly recommend you guys doing it too. That can be anywhere from grip vices to the whole finger rubber band thing. I never knew what to call that thing. That thing's just weird. You have all these tools that he is able to provide for you. Not only that, Greg Irwin actually has a YouTube channel where he's actually personally showing you how to do these exercises and how to not only utilize them, but to expand on them to maximize the efficiency of these exercises. Okay, so that's all your resources stuff, right? Okay, so when it came to me coming out with this little outline of helping newcomers kind of set a form of structure for themselves to really work on whatever the case may be with them, okay? And the best way that I was thinking about it that would make a lot of sense to me was to actually reach out to my mom, who I know this is pretty much dating myself or predating myself, but my mom is a huge fan of Gilad. And Gilad was a huge fitness advocate, and he had his own exercise tapes. My mom still uses those tapes to this day to exercise. Now, the main reason why I was talking to her about this is because I remember her doing this daily. And I actually remember it always pointing out, what portion of the workout regimen you're going to be doing, how long it's going to be, and, then they walk you through it and all that stuff. So I wanted to ask her, if she remembers the structure, if she remembers like all the time periods and all that stuff, and she actually let me know what it is. So what I did was to take that structure and apply it to gloving to just give a lot of newcomers a basic outline to work with. Okay, so the first things you're going to start with is your warm-up, and warm-up is about 10 minutes. You can make it a little bit longer if you need to. You can make it shorter if you need to. I would recommend to keep it at 10 minutes and increase it if you see fit. I do not recommend decreasing the time period because you're just cheating yourself. So what does a warm-up pretty much entail, which is really easy. You do your stretches, and you're going to do basic hand motions to kind of, as metaphorically as I like to say, shake the cobwebs off out of your hands when you do your warm-up. You just want to kind of get your muscles nice and loose, get them all nice and stretched, get them all nice and warmed up. A good way to help them warm up and help really relax your muscles a bit more is to wear gloves when you're doing these stretchings, and so it allows to insulate and allows to warm up your muscles much easier. That should take about 10 minutes. I will certainly tell you with my stretches, the most important stretches I find when it comes to gloving specifically is stretching your forearms. Now, I don't mean just the top part, I mean the entire forearm. Because as much as everyone wants to sit here and say that you don't use these muscles in your arms as much as opposed to your hands, your tendons and ligaments are all connected through your arms. And in the arm, especially in your forearm, you're going to feel the tension really, really hard, and it's going to cramp up really, really easily. So what I like to do to stretch my forearms is, one, when you kind of do the whole little duck bill with your hand, trying to do king tutting, what I like to do is actually take my hand and make the duck bill, but push my fingers against the surface and really curl until my wrist is really bent 90 degrees and I can really start to feel the stretching in my forearms above. Now, if you're like me who's been stretching that for a good while, one really good way to do that is actually have your top of your hand pressed against on a hard surface so you get that 90 degrees, and you have your fingers pointed straight out. You're going to just take your fingers and you're going to slowly, and I mean slowly, push them towards the palm of your hand, and you'll start to feel that stretch. And then you're going to hold it about 15 seconds, and then you're going to let go. Vice versa with the other hand. And of course, you're going to want to flip your hand over where your palm's facing straight up. And what I like to do is I actually like to lean on a table and have my hands with the fingers pointing towards me and sit, lean up against the table, and then kind of like rotate back a little bit, like lean back a little bit so I can actually feel the stretching going on in the inside of my forearms. Now, this is where I find it extremely important for everyone to do, because when you're doing a lot of whips and a lot of liquids, you're going to feel it in you're really going to feel it in your arms. So just having those stretched out is going to be extremely, extremely useful. So, all right, warm up's over. It's been 10 minutes. All right, you go to the first segment of the workout, which in my opinion is pretty simple. It's just a basic workout segment, and it should take you about 15 minutes. Now, when it comes to gloving, there's, what you can do is either you can do the simple basic exercises that Greg Irwin has created and fit it into this slot, or you can take basic tutorials and fit it into that slot where you actually, you work on finger rolls, for example, or stacking, or tunnels, or whips, flails, digiting. When it comes to basic, I usually just mean the whole idea of just isolating each individual finger motion. So like just trying to maximize moving each individual finger as a form of digiting or isolations. And you can do very basic tunning if you want, once you get used to it. But, just find something that you can fit in there as a basic thing for you to work on. If it's something that you are not really, really good at, I highly recommend putting it in, especially if it's a basic move. Okay, and then you're going to do that for about 15 minutes. And then you're going to move up to the next step, which is your intermediate segment, which is another 15 minutes. And that's going to involve a little bit more complicated stuff. So you can have like tutting or wave tutting, digiting and pass-throughs, dials, king tuttings, and, more complex flails that have been out there for a while. Again, whatever you feel you need to be working on in that segment, you want to put in there. So, and again, when it comes to exercises from Greg Irwin, if you're just trying to do this on a daily basis, just take a basic, intermediate, and an advanced exercise and just put those in those slots. That's something I do every day. Okay. But when it comes to gloving specific, especially when you're practicing, exercising, trying to get these motions down and trying to master, the concepts that you're working on, you want to try to keep each segment in the right spot. So, you want to put intermediate stuff in the intermediate stuff, advanced and beginning, or basic, basically. So, we got all those, and then you're going to move on to your advanced segment, which is a 15-minute segment. This can involve creatures, clocks, clusters, the pillars of gloving that I've referred to in my very first episode of gloving, of Archetypes of Gloving 101. And transitions, Things that are very advanced concepts. Grid working is another great advanced concept that you can work on. Whatever the case may be. Now, I'll certainly tell you that if you're working on very basic things that you're having a hard time in, I would definitely recommend tailoring the intermediate and the advanced to the same concept that you're working on, just so you have a nice little flow through type deal. That's how it goes with advanced. Now, this is where I find the funnest part, and this is where a lot of teams should probably actually take into account. So the last 15-minute segment is what is known as a fusion, or in case of gloving, a freestyle segment. So you're going to take all the things that you've been working on in the previous segments, and you're going to slap them together into a 15-minute segment where you're just working on everything and blending it all together. One of the things I like to do when it came to this portion is actually set up recording equipment and just do a recording session where it could be like 15 minutes or whatnot. You can record for like 5 minutes, turn it off, review and stuff. I would definitely recommend just practicing in front of a camera and just recording everything you're seeing, even if you're using all of your lights or you're using just blackouts, whatever tools you're using to help you to work with. That's going to help you a lot. And I always tell people that it's always good to record yourself, especially when you record having the intention of not showing anyone. It's going to make it a lot easier for yourself. Okay, because especially when you're practicing or exercising and you record it, this is a piece of material for you to use. It's for you to analyze for yourself. Now, you can have somebody look at it and they can help you with the pointers and stuff. That's if you want that. I'm not saying that you don't need to do that, and I'm not telling you that you have to do that. It's not a mandatory thing. Does it help to have an outside opinion? Definitely. That's if you feel like you need some outside opinion. So whatever the case may be in that sense, do what you want. So once now you have you did your freestyle, you did all that stuff, then you get to the final cooldown, and there's a couple of things you can do. First of all, I will still say stretch like crazy, because it's just as important at the end than it is at the beginning. Massaging your hands will also help with a lot of the alleviation, maybe of onset arthritis. God forbid you guys have any of that stuff going on right now. There's something I know a lot of strongmen competitors do, a lot of power lifter people do, a lot of athletes do this really, it's what's called hot cold baths. So what they like to do is they will sit in a hot tub and they'll sit there for a few minutes and stuff, and it'll be all nice and relaxing, and then they'll get out of the tub and they'll jump into another tub that is ice cold. In Iceland, they actually just sit in a hot tub and then walk out to the beach and jump into the water because it's so cold. Now, I'm not saying that you need to have a whole bath situation going on to do your hands. If you're lucky like me and you have 2 sinks in your bathroom, you can just fill one up with really, really hot water, and you can fill up the other one with ice and some water. Here's the goal that you're trying to get. You're going to warm up your hands for a bit, helping them relax. And then you're going to take them out and you're going to stick them in the cold for as long as you can, and then you're going to pull them back out. And then you're going to put them back in the hot water again for probably a good maybe 5 minutes, and then you're going to stick them back in the cold. You're going to do this a total about 3 to 4 times, and you're going to feel your hands be much, much, much better. They're going to feel much more clean. Well, not clean, but they're just going to feel much more relaxed, loose, and it really helps with a lot of the pain that your muscles are going to go through. And then finally, the one thing I also want to cover is that there are nutritional supplements that you guys can do. One of the big things that my mom really pushes on right now, recently she's been doing a lot of Boswellia. That has been her new regimen for her arthritis, because she has really, really bad arthritis in her hands. She's been liking that a lot more. However, she has been recommending to the younger people, as she likes to put it, the younger people, to pretty much kind of just stick with a low dosage of glucosamine, clotrin, and MSM. She says those are perfectly fine to help maintain your joints, especially in your hands, and help try to prevent, as long as you can, the damage of arthritis. One of the big things that her and I have been talking about that she's been looking into, and I've been encouraging her, is to look into CBD or cannabidiol, if anyone doesn't know what that is. It is a wonderful alkaloid that does come from the cannabis plant. It is also extracted out of hemp, if you didn't know that. So it's not just pot. There is industrial hemp that creates it too. So There's been a lot of advancement with this alkaloid, especially into the Joint Health Administration. It has so many wide applications, but she's actually starting to push on this as well. I'm not saying that you have to take this every day. However, she does says that after your workout, taking something that has a good amount of CBD in it is going to do wonders. And I'm actually surprised considering who my mom is about this stuff. Okay. So that's pretty much it. And it's not really hard to understand when it comes to this layout. So let's just say this. You're on a team. Let's just say you and 2 other people. It's a team of 3. So what I would do as if I was a team leader, I would actually kind of have this whole thing set up where I'd be like, all right, guys, let's do some stretching and stuff. And I'll do this like once a week. We'll all meet up like once a week. Okay, we do all of our stretchings, get the basic hand motions, get ready to go into this. One of the things I would say is like, okay, especially let's just say one of your team members is a brand new newcomer, has no idea what he's doing, and you need to get him started. Okay, so you're going to ask this newcomer, what does he feel like working on most? If he doesn't know, then you're going to start going through what I like to say, scroll through basic tutorials until you find something that this person wants to do. Okay, and then you're going to stick that into your basic. And you do the same thing for your intermediate, you do the same thing for your advanced, and then you go through each segment, 15 minutes each to do that. And then at the end of that, where you go to your freestyle segment, you're going, if they're comfortable at that point, you can have them record or they can just give you a live performance. Basically just practicing in front of each other for the 15 minutes that you guys have is going to help you not only pick up on things that you know people are messing up on, but you're also going to help yourself figure out new concepts and how to work around things that happen. I always recommend recording a video on it because it makes it just that much easier for yourself. Especially if you're on a team, you can do what the kids like to call a cipher these days, where they just set up a camera, one person starts, and when one person's done, then another person moves in and another person moves in. You can either cycle through, or once you get to the end, you get to the end. Do whatever you want. Okay. And then, of course, at the end, once you're done with like the recording and all that stuff, then you can do it. As you're doing a review of your videos, you can be doing your cooldown segments. Now, I'm not saying you have to do your hot cold baths right there while you're watching the video. However, it is something that you guys have. I would actually reserve the hot cold bath situation to the very, very end when like everyone's gone home type deal. So it's a very, very basic setup, which, again, I'll run it right through. You have 10-minute warm-up, 15-minute basic, intermediate, and advanced, and freestyle segments. Each of them are 15 minutes. And then another 10-minute cooldown, which is about a total time of 80 minutes. So an hour and 20 minutes, you'll have gone through all this stuff. And you can either do it every day, you can do it every other day, you can do it once a week, depending on your guys' situation. I would recommend, when it comes to exercising, like Greg Irwin's exercises, I would be doing that probably every other day, just to let your hands kind of relax and rebuild themselves. If you're somebody who has people that you like to meet up and actually work and practice and trade ideas and bounce ideas off of each other, you can actually have this set up for a good, for a once a week thing. Now, if you're doing like a once a week thing where you can actually increase each segment of the workout besides warm up, cool down, you can probably increase those to maybe 20 minutes a piece, or 25 minutes a piece, whatever the case may be. If you have a pretty big team, you're probably going to have to increase the size of time, and you have all that. And then, I'm not saying that you have to take these vitamins, but these vitamins do help. I will give you that. Okay. Other than that, that's pretty much the entire end of my episode. I do highly, highly, highly appreciate everyone who's been listening on the show and giving me as much feedback as they can. I do highly appreciate all the newcomers who have been asking me a lot of questions and asking for any tips or advice. I've always been trying to find new ideas for you guys. Please do not hesitate to ask me any questions about other tips that you guys feel like need to be discussed. If you feel like there was nothing discussed on this episode that you feel like needs to be discussed regarding this topic, there are multiple ways that you can contact me. You definitely have my email. It is muttonchopguy@gmail.com. You can also hit me up on Facebook, which is aptly named after this podcast. And you can also find me on Discord, which you will find the link to that in the description. Those are the main places you can hit me up. You can also find me on Reddit. I'm under the username Mutton Chop Guy, as always. So, I definitely want to hear back from you guys. Let me know what you guys feel about this outline. Do you feel like there's other things I might be missing out? What ways do you want to take this outline and tailor it to yourself? If you use this outline and tailor it to yourself, I definitely want to hear your progress as you're moving along, because I want to see what's working, and if some things are not working, especially in particular for yourself, I definitely want to help you out and try to find new ways to help you get better at it. So that is all for my episode today. I am your host, Peter, aka LPD8 The Buke, and I'll see you guys all next week.